Hey guys, what's up? It's Will back once again for another fight card prediction. We're here for UFC Vegas 73, Mackenzie Dern against Angela Hill. It's our main event this week. Yeah, back after a couple of weeks off, I've just had a lot of stuff going on, guys, and the cards weren't really too appealing for me to really jump into too much. So looking to kind of restart over and try and get my betting back in order because it has went down the pan within the last few weeks. So yeah, let's get into this card here. And I'll quickly go through some of these fights, starting off at the bottom. Jesus. Takashi Sato against Themba Gorimbo. I actually kind of think this is a winnable fight for Gorimbo because Sato has been known to kind of get taken down and he kind of finds it hard to get back off his feet a little bit. And but on the feet, like I said, this Gorimbo kid, I don't know why they signed this guy in the UFC, in all honesty. It made no sense to me when I heard it. Seeing him out there taking pictures with the UFC belt, saying he's going to be there, like be a champion one day. And I love the confidence of you trying to be that, but came into the UFC against AJ Fletcher, got choked out in the second round. He can be controlled a little bit in the ground. I don't really like a hell of a lot about his game, but I do think this is a winnable fight for him against Takashi Sato. But again, it's hard really being super confident in Sato. I think I might have said in my video against Gorimbo in his first fight that I don't think I'll ever really pick him in a UFC fight. Now, we've got Sato coming off 3 losses here where he's got knocked out once by Brian Battle. Miguel Baeza got him out of there. And funnily enough, the fight I would have thought if it was matched with any of those 3 to get him out of there, Gunnar Nelson I thought would get him out and never really just held him in position. Never really went for all that too much submissions and really just kind of won out a very, very easy decision. I'm going to pick Takashi Sato for the simple reason I don't like this Gorimbo guy in the UFC. I don't think he'll be here by the end of the year, in all honesty. But I think he can probably take this fight to the ground. I think that he could have some top time there and win rounds through that. I just don't really want to be taking him in there. So I'm going to take Takashi Sato to win that fight there. Victoria Leonardo against Natalia Silva. I think Natalia Silva is the biggest lock in the card, but our line is like minus 1,000, so you're getting no value there. I think the UFC do see something in this lady where she's come into the UFC, and I think she's kind of garnering a lot of attention for herself. A pretty looking girl, can fight, got some knockouts in there. 2 wins in the UFC, won a very, very easy decision against Jasmine Judavicius, and then she knocked out Teresa Blader, which I thought was a pretty bad matchmaking because Blader to me doesn't look, I think it's a little bit too early. I think she needed more season out in the regional scene. And then they're matching her up here with someone who's coming off a win over Mandy Bohm. She shouldn't be in the UFC because she is, after last week's Oscar-winning performance, I think that she no longer really should be in the UFC with her antics there. A couple of losses there. Fiora, Gatto stopped her. I think Natalia Silva is just better in many areas, and they know what they're doing. They want to build this up, build her up in the UFC. This is a very winnable, and I think it'll be a fairly easy fight for her. So Natalia Silva for me in that one there. Chase Hooper moves up to 155 and he faces off against Nick Fiore. And I like Chase Hooper in this fight, much to my surprise. Like I say, I've not really jumped into looking at the card like as early as I kind of usually do. I'll give myself a couple of days off, try and clear my head. Because like I say, I've been a little bit of a bad drop with my bets and everything, so I'm trying to kind of pick my spots a little bit better. And this was not one of the spots I thought I'd come into thinking I'd have a bet on, but I'm actually going to take probably a bet on Chase Hooper here, surprisingly. I mean, Chase is a little bit of a punching bag. His striking defense is not great. His chin's not overly great, and especially with him moving up to the shark tank of 155, I think that could honestly not be a kind of great thing going forward. But in this matchup, I think he matches up really well with Nick Fiore. I think he's going to get the fight that he wants in this one. Fiore's a black belt by all intents, from what I've seen. Coming in, I actually thought he fought a really reasonable fight against Mateusz Rebecki. Rebecki's a guy I know very well out here in Europe. I've seen him come through, and Rebecki he tried to get that fight finished in the first round, tired himself out. I don't think he looked his optimal in that fight, personally. But he's striking. If you're going to fights with Chase Hooper, you want to see what the guy's striking's all about. And from what I've seen from Nick Fiora, I don't see a guy with much like big knockout power. And not saying that he couldn't do that to Chase Hooper, because his chin just doesn't look great. Obviously moving up, but he's a young kid. What, 23 years old? I want to say is coming 24, so he's still young. He's got double the amount of fights that Fiora has. I think Fiora's going to want to come in here, get this fight to the ground, and try and use his jiu-jitsu. But I think that Chase Hooper is the better scrambler. I also think he could, with how long he is, I think that he could absolutely catch this guy in a submission. I really like him, and at dog odds, these are the spots I need to try and get back to. I know you're trusting a guy that's not the most trustworthy person in the world to kind of back, but I have backed him in some spots. When people are kind of going another way, and I've cashed some bets on him. This is another one here. I think he's gonna find a way to win this fight. So he's plus 125 over here in the UK. The line really hasn't moved that much this week, so I'm probably going to take a shot right after I come off this. Chase Hooper's going to be my pick in that one there. Ilir Latifi against Rodrigo Nascimento. Now, I thought that Latifi just straight out retired off that win last time out against Aleksandar, which was not a great fight. His fights aren't all that good, but 2 fights in a row, 2 decision wins, and I'm thinking here that he could be a very live dog against Rodrigo Nascimento, who is also coming off a win over Barboza, a split decision, and Aljamain there, where he won that, but that obviously got changed to a draw, whatever it is there. So yeah, I'm really interested. I actually think Latifi is very live. I think this could be a very slow-paced fight where Latifi is going to look for takedowns. And if he can get them, and if he can clinch up Nascimento, I think he can tire him out and really be close to winning this fight here. When you watch some of Nascimento's fights, you don't see guys that are continuously looking to take this guy down or clinch him up or put him against the cage and have some cage time against him. And I think that Latifi, I think had a very solid UFC career in all regards, from his short notice fight from Musasi up until now. He's been in the UFC a hell of a long time. I've watched him a few times myself live. I think the UFC would like to kind of get the younger heavyweight here at 30 years old to get the win and move on. But I don't think this is an easy fight for him. I've seen some people on Twitter this week saying that Nascimento was actually, the line should be bigger. It should be like over minus 200. And I'm like, I don't agree with that one iota. I think that Latifi is very live in here. And I'm going to pick him to win via a very, very close decision. Probably one of these split decision type fights where it's probably not going to be the most aesthetically looking fight to watch, but he gets the job done. So Ilir Latifi is going to be my pick there. And that one, Orion Kose against Gilbert Urbina, honestly don't care too much. The Kose brothers are kind of flakes. Really, again, like I mentioned earlier on, needed more season out in the California regionals, kind of got rushed into the UFC, in my opinion, came through the Contender Series. Obviously, they won their fights, and they did so inside the distance, so they got themselves an opportunity. But both of them, since they went to the UFC, has not looked overly great. Yeah, I've not really looked in. If you look at the kind of Urbina kind of family tree in the UFC, it's not worked out too well, and he's coming off a couple of losses there where he's got stopped. So I'll take Kose, but honestly, I've not even really looked into that fight at all. Looked into this one a little bit. Carlina Kovalkiewicz against Vanessa Demopolis. I'm a big admirer of Demopolis because I don't think she is fundamentally a really good fighter, but she's a dog, and she's got a lot of spirit about her and a lot of effort, and she gives her all, and that's something you can only ask of fighters, and come out there, give their all, and see how far that takes you. And recently, it's took her to 3 wins in a row in the UFC. Silvana Gomez Juarez was our first victim there. Stopped her. Jin Frey, very close fight, could have went either way. She got the split. And then she beat Maria Oliveira. Now, not super high caliber opposition, but she's getting her confidence. She's won 3 fights in the UFC. There's not too many girls in that strawweight division that can really say that. and she's kind of got a bigger step up here against Carlina, who I still don't think is what she was back in her prime. A very dangerous fighter, a very good striker, methodical striker, and would just outdo you with her good technical striking. She walked away from the sport. She did only lose to the best girls. I mean, your Grassos, your Zhao. That's not a good L to take there, but Jessica Penny. But she's came back, took a year off, went to American Top Team, beat Felice Herrig, who was on her way out, and a mutual opponent there in Silvana Juarez there, where she kind of used her grappling that way. And this is what I think she can do here, but I wouldn't be confident playing the number that she is. I think for me, if you're looking at kind of betting this fight, I think the more dangerous fighter with a bigger upside or maybe stopping the fight is the Demopolis side. But I do think that Carlina can have some stalemate on the feet, can really go forward, land some shots, and I think she can mix in takedowns. I'm not super confident she can stop herself getting submitted, in all honesty, because I think Demopolis will go for it. She will put herself in positions where she will attempt submissions. I think in women's MMA, it doesn't take much to get caught in something. She has got caught in stuff in the past. As a pick, I think I'm going to go Carlina decision, but I've kind of got a sneaky feeling that Vanessa could come in here and catch a submission, but Carlina via decision is going to be my official pick there. Where are we at? Mahashati against Vyashev Borschev, Slava Claus. I mean, Slava Claus, I think I could take this guy down in the UFC. It's like a gaping hole that I think anybody with an semblance of just try to get to the legs or get a takedown can take this guy down. And it's kind of baffling to me that with the company that he chooses to fight with, like Team Alpha Male or whatever they're called nowadays. I don't know if they're still called that, but he's shown no sign of like being able to stop takedowns on the feet, like his speed, like his shot selection, goes to the body nice, goes to the body well, mixes in his kicks well too. Mahashati, I mean, coming off that L there, I don't think the Rafa Garcia loss is a bad loss, in all honesty. I think that Garcia has won himself some fights in the UFC. He's a tough, rugged guy that if you don't hurt him, maybe get him out of there, he's going to be in your face for 15 minutes and he's going to bring kind of hell and wheels to you, and that's what happened there. Honestly, don't want any action on this fight. I think I'm going to go Borschev. I think that Mahashati is just not going to bring the takedown threat. I think on the feet he can do enough to win rounds. So Slava Claus for the win in that one there. Michael Johnson against Carlos Dago Ferreira. Good fight. I mean, 21-18. You've seen the record there of Michael Johnson. Geez, that record, that's crazy. He's nearly like a 500 fighter, and some of the wins in his resume are unbelievable as well. And he could have even more wins. If you look at the Josh Emmett fight, he was winning that clearly, and then gets caught with a big, massive kind of Hail Mary shot in that third round and gets knocked out. But we all know what he brings. Really good striking, fast, speedy. He has power, can put you down. But I think there is holes in his game where you can capitalize, where you can get him, you can really bust him up. But there's also parts when he looks at that Tago Moises fight. I watched that back, and like he is beating that guy's ass in round number one. Comes out and get his ankle taken in the second round, and he's tapping. So for me, he's a kind of guy that you have to. No, I can't be super confident, but he's kind of back to kind of trading these wins and losses. That's a win over Alan Patrick, who wasn't really made for the UFC then. That honestly could have been, I think I bet Malarkey in that one, and I kind of thought I got away with that one because I thought he could have really won that fight, and then he comes there and beats Mark Diakese. So sometimes when this guy shows up, I'm not even going to mention the wins that he had beforehand, because you can see that for yourself. Carlos Dago Ferreira coming off 3 L's in a row, been out for the last year and a half pretty much, but look at his L's. Gamrot, Gillespie, Dariush. He loses to really top guys. And I also think he's a bit of a dangerous striker himself. He throws awkward shots, but you can tell he's got some power. his ground game is stifling. If you can get him down there, he can really jump on there and look to advance himself to get some submissions. So, like I said, two kind of older guys, 36, 38. I lean on the Dago Ferreira side to win a pretty close decision here. But, yeah, good fight. I'm looking forward to that fight, actually. I'm looking forward to this one as well. Andre Fiallo against Joaquin Buckley. The pick is going to be Joaquin Buckley for me. I feel a little bit more confident in that, but I was looking at some lines before I come into that here. Like, both guys, I think, can KO each other, and I don't think that Buckley has the greatest chin in the world. And this guy's like plus 400 to win by knockout. And I'm thinking to myself, that might not actually be a bad bet, in all honesty, because he's moving down to 170 for the first time. We've already seen him KO'd in the past at 185 now. He was undersized at that division. He's coming off that less than 4 months ago to Chris Curtis, where he got knocked out silly. I actually thought he was fighting a good fight in that. When I bet him in that fight and thought, I'm on my way to winning this fight if he can get that second round. Ultimately got caught, got knocked out. It happens. So Fiallo himself coming off 2 L's, and he's been knocked out in both. So both guys have got chin liabilities. I think it's about who can land the shot that compromises him here. I think that Buckley can probably like tie him up a little bit, maybe get some takedowns if he wanted to. But like I say, I wouldn't be confident putting my money in this fight really all too much. But I'm going to lean Buckley. I think he's overall just the better fighter. I think when he shows up, he can win minutes in rounds in fights, where I think that Fiallo kind of looks for that big shot, tires himself out, and can ultimately be caught himself. So Joaquin Buckley is going to be my pick in that fight there. Emily Dakota against Lupita Godinez. Lupita Godinez won 100 catch weight of 120. I'm not super high on Godinez. I tried to fade her last time out against Cynthia Calvillo, and I thought that she just did enough, in all honesty, but it was a particularly closer fight than I thought she needed it to be. Seemed like she was in Mexico 2 weeks on holiday, which was probably the reason why this is the catch weight. But when she gets opportunity to fight, she jumps in there. Respect her for that. I think initially she can come out here and get takedowns, but as the fight goes on, I'm not super confident that she can outstrike Dakota for long periods in rounds. I think it's going to be very close, very back and forward. She might be one of these fighters that comes out here, tries to land her shots, get takedowns, and tries and mix it up a little bit more, maybe win the rounds a bit more through that. But if this stays more of a striking affair, I favour Dakota, honestly. I think that, like I say, she's shown that she can mix up with her low kicks. A couple of wins in the UFC. But I'll win, sorry. She's a couple of fights in the UFC. Jessica Penney, not the greatest winning you're ever going to see. Then got a jump up against Angela Hill, in my opinion, where she gave a good account of herself. Just that the more volume was coming from Hill, she was landing more and was dictating that fight. So for me, I'm going to be on the Dakota side. I think she's going to win a split decision. I've been burned by going against Godinez in the past, but honestly, I might take a little shot on Dakota and try and get some money back, or maybe lose more going against Lupita Godinez. But for me, I'm going to take Emily Dakota to win that one there. Co-main event, we've got Edmund Shabazian against Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. This is a really solid co-main event. I think we all know what to kind of expect from Edmund. Come out here, go for it quite early. I think he's very dangerous in that early part of the fight. Whereabouts is he? He's in Vegas now. Syndicate, Extreme Couture. Like I say, the Golden Boy, still only 25 years old, been around the UFC, main evented in the UFC. It's just outside the rankings in that middleweight division. And I do think that he can make a concerted push back into that top 15. I don't think middleweight is the strongest division to be a ranked fighter, in all honesty. And especially at 25 years of age, I think that he can definitely have a second opportunity to get back in those rankings and try and push himself further than he did before. Coming off that win over Dalcha, who's very low volume and had a lot of opportunities in that fight to really get his strikes off it and winning that. I think was it the second round? I think it was. I could be wrong. And then, like I say, Imavov, ranked guy, Hermanson, ranked guy, Brunson, that was just a fight. I remember, I think I bet him in that fight, and he was at minus 300. That was such a bad bet on my part, and really got schooled in that fight. But honestly, what I've seen recently from this guy, sheesh, man, he has looked unbelievable. I think the confidence that he gained from this fight here and submitting Ferreira is really just transcending his game. And he's, like I say, he's 29 years old, coming into his prime probably. And he has looked unbelievable in these two fights against Josh Framed and this one here against Barrio. He's looked like an absolute killer where he gets the fight to the ground and just really mauls you to death. I had a couple of good wins outside the UFC going back a few years now, but I think he's very dangerous. Like I say, this line here is a little bit concerning. I don't like that. The money is coming in Shabazian because the line's come down. That it's not plus 245. I can't see that anywhere. Might have been earlier in the week and they've just not adjusted. But yeah, I think initially it's early Edmund and then it's probably late Fluffy Hernandez. I think that if he can get his ground game going, I think he can really put a hurting on someone like Shabazian. So I'm going to lean on the Hernandez side. But I think Shabazian can knock him out in the first round because I think he is so dangerous. But my pick, I'm going to go a third round submission for Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. In the main event of the night, we've got Mackenzie Dern against Angela Hill. I want to be confident in Mackenzie Dern here, but there's no way you can bet better like what she's minus 175 over here in the UK. I think she's got a kind of clear path to victory, obviously, if she gets the fight to the ground. But the problem is she doesn't get fights to the ground. And even if she does, opponents can survive there with her, which is, we've seen that with, I think it's Verna that is coped with her down there, Marino Rodriguez, which is a surprise, Yan Zhaonan. So it's not a necessity if she gets these fights to the ground that she's going to win straight away. I've thought that in the past, but we've seen on numerous occasions now that that's just not the case. So at minus 175, I want no part in that. Now, if it becomes a striking affair, then I think the power is on the Dern side. We have seen that throughout her career that she has some big power and she can throw some heavy leather. Where you've got the output of someone like Angela Hill who will be there. If you don't get her out, she will keep coming. She has got a lot of output and she will kind of go after you a little bit. But like I say, she's 38, 39 years old. She is coming off a couple of wins here. Lupe Godinez, Emily Dakota, 2 good wins, where you've kind of got 5-round fights here from Mackenzie Dern. She lost that. Yan Zhaonan was plus 200. That was a great bet on my side there for that one. Tisha Torres, Marina Rodriguez, she lost that one. So, like I say, it's not a necessity that she gets these fight to the ground and submits her. And I'm not saying that she couldn't come out here and find the chin of someone like Angela Hill. I do think she will get the fight to the ground, but like her takedown defense is not strong. I think she will have opportunities to submit her. It's just whether she gets it. So as a pick, I'm a fan of Mackenzie Dern. I have been for a long time. When she was coming through, I really liked what I've seen from her. And like I said, there is a lot of things going on in her life at the minute. Watched an interview and she was a lot of excuses were coming to the fore. She's going through a divorce. Obviously, I don't know what that's like, but I'm guessing it can't be great. Change of management, some other things she was mentioning. So she was bringing up a lot of different thing. Is she fully focused on this fight? But then she's talking about she's in her prime now. She knows that she can't really afford to be losing more fights. And if she gets a run of wins there, she might get herself a title shot. But I am going to pick Mackenzie Dern. I think she could find a submission. I think she's going to have a couple of opportunities. Doesn't mean that Hill might get tapped out, but I think that she gets back on stopping the fight here and gets back in the win column. So, guys, that's my picks here for UFC Vegas 73. I will catch up with you all again very, very soon. Enjoy the card when it comes around. I think we've got a week off next week, and then we're back for Kai Kara France against Amir Albazi. I think I'm going to be jumping on a show with Big Steve, the Big Brain podcast. So I'm looking forward to talking to Steve about some fights there. Until then, guys, all the very, very best, and I'll see you all very, very soon. Take care.